Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and welcome to the 38th episode of my second 1 billion iron ingot challenge. In today's episode, I am going to install a solar array from the mod Environmental Tech. Now, the mod Environmental Tech has been the mod that I've used quite a bit to install the void ore miners. That is where that comes from, and now I'm actually going to use this mod to generate some power for those void ore miners. Now, the solar array comes in 6 tiers, just like all of the other machines from the mod Environmental Tech. And today I'm going to be using the tier 6 variant because I have all of the available blocks. Just like the void ore miner and the void resource miner, it uses the crystals that you get from the void ore miner. So it uses, for the tier 1, it uses litherite. For the tier 2, it's a rhodium. For the tier 3, chironite, and so on and so forth. And the tier 6 uses aethium, which I have a lot of all that stuff, so yeah, I might as well go with the tier 6. I actually have everything already made, so let's go ahead and find out exactly what we need here. So let me put that torch back where it should be, and let's see what we need. So it's actually a pretty basic structure. It is mostly the solar cells, and you can use any type of solar cell. It is not like the void ore miner where the structural panels need to be of a certain tier or higher. With this, you can use any solar cells. So there are 6 tiers of the solar cells as well, and they are right here. The higher tiers will generate more power during sunlight hours, and so I'm obviously going to be using the highest tier solar cells as well. So I actually have all of them already made up. I need 169 of them, and then in addition we need some modifiers. So it says 12 null modifiers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 12 null modifiers, and just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to grab 12 speed modifiers as well. I'm pretty sure that those won't do anything whatsoever, and they might actually make things worse, but I'm going to try them just to see what happens. So let's go ahead here, and I have an area ready for me to build this, and that would be this secondary building that has some nuclear reactors in it. So the structure itself, I think, is 15 by 15 by 2. So what I'm going to do is I need to find the center of, I don't need to find the center of the room. I know the center of the room is right here, but I need to place the controller, I believe, one off of the ceiling. So I think what I need to do is I need to put the controller right here. And okay, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that should be right. So let's go ahead and get rid of these blocks, and then just like all of the other machines from Environmental Tech, I can use the assembler, and I can just hold right click and it should start building the structure. So as we see, it is placing down the null modifier blocks. I'm going to replace 1 or 2 of those with the speed modifier and see if that does anything. I don't think it will, and it might even not allow the structure to function. So it should be almost done if it's not done already. I wonder if I'm missing something, because this seems a little... Oh, structure frames. I need the structure frames. Derp. So let's get those, and I need, I think it said 56. Yes, 56. That shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. I should have plenty of things for that. That should just take a second to craft up. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have a dedicated capacitor for this so that I can see how much power I'm generating, A, and then B, I can actually store the power it's generating during the day and then power things during the night with the stored up power. So let's see if those are done. Those are done. So let's go ahead and finish out this structure. And then let's replace a few of those modifier blocks as well. So this should be just about done. There we go. So this thing produces a lot of power, like an insane amount of power. Right now it says 1,771,965 RF per tick. That's actually almost double what I have for the rest of my base. So that's kind of an insane amount. I won't actually be able to make use of all that capacity, I don't think. And actually I could if I set things right, because essentially under my base is a giant battery. I could average things out so that I could pull more energy during the day and then kind of store it, or other way around, pull more energy at night and then store up energy during the day than my nuclear reactors and things produce. I could do that, but I think for right now I'm just going to build a capacitor for this itself. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to put in some speed modifiers to see if that would do anything. I don't think it will. It might even not allow the structure to function, but you know, whatever. Let's see if it does anything. It didn't do anything, and it seems to be that it would still function. Actually, let's test that it'll still function, because I can grab some capacitors here. I have a bunch of them made up, and the capacitor that I need to build should probably be pretty big. So let's go ahead and, you know what, let's just build it from, like, say here, and build it kind of across the room like this. I went all the way to the edge over there. Actually, let's not go all the way to the edge. That'll make things a little bit more crowded than I would like. Let's just kind of do this. And I might actually need more of the capacitor block to make it this big, but that's okay. If I need to grab some more, I can. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run a little bit short on these, but that's okay. Actually, I might not. I'm going to run 2 short. So, actually 1 short. So, I actually have more. So, I'm going to run 0 short. Okay, so what I want to do right now is, actually I want to get rid of this for just a second. And that's so I can set up this, and then I need to put that as an output. And then I can go ahead and place this Cryo-Stabilized flex stick back. This is connected to the rest of my power system, so it's just hooked up like this. And let me go ahead and finish this capacitor out. And what I need to do is over here, let's put an input, and then I'm going to need some more Cryo-Stabilized flux duct. That was not what I meant to do. And I can't spell. I never can spell, apparently. And I just want to run this over like this. And I don't think that this is producing anything right now because it's like night. Yep, nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a snooze, and then let's come back and see how much this thing is making. Okay, so where is my, there it is. This building right here. So hopefully nothing gets overwhelmed, because that is going to be producing an absolutely mammoth amount of power. So let's see exactly how this is doing. So I actually should have put this on a different, I should have put this on this wall. You know what? I am going to put it on this wall over here, and that's because this is kind of the front facing glass, and this, I don't think this will look great behind this glass right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this capacitor over here, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I have everything like I wanted. I moved the capacitor over here. I also have some Cryo-Stabilized flux duct under the floor right here that is connected up to the main power grid. So let's go ahead and fancy this up a little bit. What I want to do is I want to add a power meter, and I'm going to do this on either side here so that when I come into this room, I can immediately see how much power that this thing has. So you know what, I also want to do over here, just because if I use these elevators, if I use those, I can come over here and see it as well. And then I also want to do an I/O on the front. Now, actually, if we click on this, if we notice, the solar array itself can actually make more power than the maximum input value will even allow it to store. So in the future, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this capacitor to be quite bigger. But for right now, I'm just going to call this good. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a large, or a pretty large meter here in the middle that has the I/O. And that will be good information for the most part. Actually, as we see right now, I believe that is the entirety of the power of my entire base is being fed off of this capacitor right now. So my nuclear reactors aren't aren't pulling any weight at this point. One last thing I would like to do is I would like to spruce up the top of the roof here, and I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera. I'm just going to grab some stone and I'm going to go around and just fill this in with stone. And I think I'm also going to lay down some torches because I believe that they don't affect the power generated. So let me double check that. Yeah, didn't affect it at all. So I'm going to place down some torches as necessary up here as well and fill in the gaps with stone. And once I have that done, I will be right back. Okay, so I believe I'm done with the solar array and the building. And as we see here, if I actually draw the max amount from this capacitor overnight, the capacitor actually drains very, very quickly and will eventually run out of power altogether. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the max output be only 100,000 RF per tick. And that's because A, this capacitor is relatively small compared to how much power this structure is generating. And B, I don't really need to draw too much from it. In fact, at this point, I don't need to draw anything from it, but it will be nice to have an extra 100,000 RF to play with. And by setting that capacitor to 100,000 RF per tick, it shouldn't run out of energy overnight during a typical night. Obviously, it was set to max power output during the beginning of the night there before I changed it. But over a normal night, it should at least stay with, it should have some power still at the end of the night, so that should be good. So one more thing I want to do this episode is I need to work, or I guess tweak, a system that I built last episode, and that is the ore processing for aluminum and aluminum and tin ore. And my problem is that I'm running out of cinnabar. Now, one thing I did add after the episode is I added, since I had a bunch of cinnabar, just the cinnabar itself, I already had a bunch. I set it to export to actually this right here. And I'm just taking this cinnabar directly out and putting into the systems. And that was because I actually ran out of bliss powder. And let's see if I actually have any. I don't have any of it. It's being instantly used. But basically what's happening is I'm running out of cinnabar. Both the cinnabar this kind and the cinnabar ore. So I need to do something about that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch up some augments here. I'm going to grab a bunch of these metallurgical recovery augments, and basically what that does is it provides the machine a chance to not use up the metallurgical flux, which is the cinnabar in this recipe. And for each augment I add, it's 15% chance up. So if I have one augment in, as in if I have one metallurgical recovery augment, there's a 15% chance that the cinnabar will not be used. If I have two of them in, there is a 30% chance that the cinnabar will not be used. And then if I have three of them in, there is a 45% chance that the cinnabar will not be used. So what I'm going to do on all of my machines here is I'm going to put in 3 metallurgical recovery upgrades. And I should mention that between episodes, I also swapped out one of the auxiliary receive upgrades for an auxiliary reception coil upgrade. And that's because even with the 80 induction smelters, I was not processing the ores fast enough. I was getting a backlog of aluminum and tin ore, so I went ahead and sped up all the machines by one tier. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to rip these auxiliary receive upgrades out, which will reduce my iron ingot yield just by a little bit, which is obviously unfortunate. But the thing is, this whole system will not function if I don't have cinnabar, so I really need to do this. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that and just replace them with the metallurgical recovery augments. So I need to do that 78 more times by my count, so that's going to take a while. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and once I have that done, I will be right back. Okay, so I've got all of the augments swapped out, and I think I will probably have to tweak this system in the future, or I will have to find a way to get more cinnabar in some way, but that should be pretty possible, to be honest. So I'm not going to worry about it any further this episode. So I think this is a pretty good wrapping up point. So in today's episode, I swapped out some augments, some secondary sieve augments to add the metallurgical recovery augments here. and that should give me a 45% chance per operation of the cinnabar not being consumed. So obviously that'll help this process out because I am running out of cinnabar. So that should help that situation out. And then at the beginning of the episode, I set up this awesome solar array right here. This thing produces a absolutely mammoth amount of power, and yeah, I can't really use it very effectively right now, but in the future I will expand this capacitor, and then I should definitely be able to take a better advantage of this solar array. So anyways, as of right now, I have about 50 million iron ingots. Right now I'm getting about 8 or 9 million iron ingots per day, so that's actually a pretty good pace. It'll still take me quite a while to get to 1 billion iron ingots, but we're closing in on 100 million iron ingots, and that actually has me pretty excited. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely give it a like. If you enjoy watching automation type stuff in modded Minecraft, definitely consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.